Starfish. Hello, I hope that you're doing very, very well this week. And we've got a craft for you this morning, and then we've got a story for you after the craft, so stick around for that. But for the craft, you will need these things, so now's the time to pause the video and go away and get these things if you haven't already. We've got some fabric, we've got some scissors, we've got a pen, we've got a glue stick, and the thing that we're going to start off first is this tree here, because what we're going to do is we're going to chop down the tree and we're going to use some of this wood, and wood can be used to make paper. So if you haven't got enough available trees for chopping or wood handy, then you can just use the back of a cereal box like this here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our scissors and we are going to cut this cereal box into lots of planks of wood. Look at that, as easy as that. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to draw with our pen 4 little dots in each corner of each plank of wood, so it looks a little bit like it's got nails in, if that would focus. There we go. So I will see you once I've done that. And there we go, lots of little planks of wood all ready to go. Then we are going to move these planks of wood to one side and we are going to use them to build a boat by sticking them on. And if we want to trim some of the edges, we can do that with our scissors. But we're going to stick them on with our glue sticks until we've got the shape of a boat and also a mast. And I'm going to go into super fast forward for this bit, but it's maybe something you'd like to do and take a bit of time over at home. Okay, there's our boat all done. You can go as detailed as you want and you can do different types of boats. Obviously, I've gone a bit mad and made a pirate ship looking thing. The final touch is to glue the sail onto the boat. Let's do that now. And there we have it, a little wooden boat. And it all started with a tree like this one. Well, we are going to hear a story now about a tree who wanted to become a boat, as well as some of his other friends who were trees. Well, let's take a look at our story for this week and see maybe a little bit why I chose that craft for us today. This story is called The Tale of 3 Trees, and hopefully you're sitting comfortably and we can start the story. Once upon a mountain top, 3 little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars, twinkling like diamonds above him. "I want to hold treasure," he said. "I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. "I want to be a strong sailing ship," he said. "I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. "I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all," she said. "I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world." Years passed. The rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. Here they are, climbing the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful, it's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest," thought the first tree. "I shall hold wonderful treasure." The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, This tree is strong, it is perfect for me. With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Now I shall sail mighty waters, thought the second tree. I shall be a strong ship, fit for kings. The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. Any kind of tree will do for me, he muttered. With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop, but the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat. That's like what we made in the craft, isn't it? Too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river, he was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The three trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. I wish I could make a cradle for him, her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. This manger is beautiful, she said, and suddenly the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveller and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveller fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand and said, "Peace." The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. The end. I hope you enjoyed reading that book, and we will be back next week with another video, but we hope you have a great rest of Thursday, a great Friday, a really great weekend, and a good start of next week. Hopefully we'll see you joining at some of our other things as well. Don't forget that we've got church every Sunday. At the moment it's on Zoom, but our videos are on YouTube, and you will find other things on our website, little things that we're doing, like the odd movie night for children here and there as well. See you next time. Bye.